You upgraded your tank, congratulations! Guess what you have? The beginnings of MTS, which stands for multi-tank syndrome. Or maybe you're just considering upgrading your tank. In that case, you got pre-MTS. But hey, the cure is the same for both. There's no cure. Sorry, bro. But no worries, it's all good because we all get it in this hobby. It's so easily spread, but you found the right video that's gonna help you upgrade your tank quickly, easily, and efficiently to make sure you keep your fish safe. You also found the right channel with plenty of helpful tips and advice to help you keep a beautiful and successful aquarium. So make sure you subscribe so you don't miss any new content. First thing we gotta do is decide if our new tank is going in the same location as our old tank. If it is, then stay with me right here. If you're keeping both tanks, with the new tank in a new location, then you can jump to the timestamp that I'm going to leave in the description, or just ride with me through the whole video. You never know if I'm going to drop any nuggets for you. So our old tank is in the way. Let's prepare to move it. Obviously, we got to drain the water to make the tank lighter. What you may be worried about is how much to drain it. Totally understandable. Here's where things can get a little tricky. Let me first say that the old water in your old tank has absolutely nothing beneficial in it that we need to preserve for this transfer, especially not beneficial bacteria. Your beneficial bacteria does not live in the water column, so you have nothing to worry about when getting rid of this old water. With that being said, if you're one of those fish keepers that do big, consistent water changes, like me, I do weekly 80% water changes on this big 210 right here, then your fish are already used to big water changes. So in this case, you're gonna wanna drain your tank as much as possible to get it to a weight that's light enough for you to move it out of the way without throwing your back out or anything like that. Don't worry about the fish. They're gonna be completely fine because in a few minutes, they'll be in their new tank with essentially 100% water change. More on that later. Now, if you're one of those fish keepers that only do 20 or 25% water changes every month or so, no judgment here, to each his own, but your fish aren't used to big water changes. So in your case, I'm gonna suggest draining the tank to about 50% maximum. We're gonna keep more of the old water only for the purposes of not overly shocking your fish that aren't accustomed to big water changes. We're doing this so that there's minimal change to the water parameters, not because there's anything beneficial in the water itself. We're just trying to make less of a change, less of a shock for your fish. I hope I hammered that home. Now, even though you've drained 50%, if it's still too heavy for you to move, then there's an extra step that you guys need to take. It's gonna be a bit more work, but we do what we have to do to keep our guys good, right? For this extra step, we're gonna have to fill either a big tote or multiple buckets with that remaining tank water from that 50% that's still in your tank. For you guys, we're trying to keep at least 50% of the old water for your new tank in order to avoid shocking your fish, like we just discussed. Once you've made the tank light enough for you to move it. Just get it out of the way. The tank with the fish and the equipment, the plugs, the wires, everything, just move it all together. Now, after a little cleaning and dusting behind your tank, you know you gotta clean back there before you put the new tank. After your clean is done, go ahead and put the new tank in its place. Now, I know at this point you wanna stare and admire at your new, huge, beautiful tank, but don't get distracted. We have to keep our fish in mind that are sitting in the old tank, most likely unplugged, without a filter, heater, or oxygen. So yes, you guessed it. Make sure to add some oxygen to your old tank that you just moved before starting to set up your new tank. Setting up the new tank is gonna take some time, and you may get so engulfed in the joy of setting up your new tank, you won't even realize how much time it's passing, how much time it's taking, while your fish are in this temporary situation like, hey, remember us? So add an air stone or a sponge filter to keep that old tank water nice and oxygenated. As far as the rest of your equipment, it's time to start transferring all that over to the new guy. Move your filter, heaters, wave makers, and any types of equipment that you had in the old tank that can be used in the new tank, minus your lights. I suggest leaving that for last since we're gonna be in and out of the top of the tank a lot during this process. Some of you may have also upgraded some equipment. Most of the time, that'd be a new, bigger filter. In this case, you wanna use all the biomedia from your old filter in the new filter. Now, let me be clear on this point. You do not want to clean your media right now so that you can start out fresh and clean with your new filter. No. Instead, put that dirty, mucky, maybe even stinky biomedia in your new filter. Whatever fits, transfer it. Any and all sponges, but especially the biomedia. We do this to preserve as much beneficial bacteria as we can in order to quickly cycle our new tank and avoid any possible bacterial blooms or ammonia spikes. Oh, what's a bacterial bloom, you ask? Good question. I got you covered right here. Once all your equipment is transferred over, now you can add in either decor or substrate in whichever order you prefer. I prefer decor first so that I can add the substrate around the decor and kind of bury it in place, but it's totally up to you. What I will say is that the more old decor and old substrate you keep, the more beneficial bacteria you'll preserve. But this won't be a major factor. One, because most of your BB will be inside your filter, and two, we're gonna add some awesome products later, so you won't have to worry much about it at all. Most of you already know what it is. So we got the equipment set up, the decor set up, the substrate set up. Okay, we're ready for fish, right? No guys, we need water first, come on. Start filling your tank up however you're used to filling it up. Do your best to match the temperature of the water from your old tank, but it doesn't have to be an exact match, guys. A 5 or 6 degree difference isn't gonna affect them much at all. If you got a big tank, I recommend using a water pump in a big tote or a bucket to get that water filling up fast. The pump I use and love is linked in the description below. While filling up, I recommend a few key products to ensure a safe transition. One that is non-negotiable is your water conditioner / dechlorinator. My go-to is Cichlid Prime, but you could use any conditioner you like. These next products are completely optional, but I like to err on the side of caution, and the couple of extra dollars for these products is far less than the financial and the emotional cost of losing your fish. Cichlid Stability is great to add right now in order to jumpstart your beneficial bacteria production. Yes, we did preserve as much as we could, but we also lost some in the process. So there's a potential for an ammonia spike. Don't even worry about it. The prime that you added will handle that, but the stability helps getting the tank back to copacetic. The one other product I like to add during fill up is Cichlid Stress Guard. Stress Guard is going to activate your fish slime coat, it's going to calm them down and help them just get settled into their new environment, into their new home with very minimal stress. Yes, these are all Cichlid products. Yes, I am a Cichlid brand ambassador and proud of it. But yes, I have been promoting these products since the beginning of my channel in early 2020. Oh, and yes, you can find all linked in the description below. Now that our tank is filled and our water is ready, you should have full confidence in transferring over your fish into their new home. They're gonna love it. Now you can be in full awe and amazement of how beautiful that bigger tank looks and wonder if you should really get rid of that old tank or maybe turn it into a grow out tank or something like this. Peace.